Hi everyone. In the previous video, I was discussing with you about cooperative societies, and I mentioned to you about why the cooperative societies are formed, and I gave you certain examples such as consumer cooperatives, financial cooperatives. Then I spoke to you even about consume cooperative housing societies and so on. So I did mention to you that these cooperative societies are formed so as to help the members to gain a economic advantage. There is no profit that is made by the organization. Instead, they aim to mutually help one another. That is the idea behind starting the cooperatives. So generally, the management of the cooperatives is done by an elected body. All the members together decide upon who should head the management of the cooperatives. So the cooperative functions for the common good of all the members. The profits, if at all it is made, is plowed back into the organization, that is the cooperatives, and nobody tries to pocket the profits. So everyone is treated equally, and everyone is allowed to gain advantage because of each one's contribution in the cooperative societies. So having said that, we move on to the next customer or account holder, which is a trustee. Now we have come across this term trustee in unit 1, and we have understood that trustee is a person or a group of people who together takes care of the property which is entrusted to them and deals it for the benefit of someone else who is called as the beneficiary. So trustee and beneficiary are terms which you have heard before this. Trustee is a person in whom the property is entrusted so that he may look after it and deal with it in such a manner that it is for the benefit of people who are called as beneficiaries. So whoever gives the property to the trustee, that person is called as the creator of the trust. And for whose benefit the trust is created, it could be either the creator of the trust, for himself the trust is created, or it could be for someone else that the benefit is created. So the people for whom the benefit is created, those people are called as the beneficiaries. Now, a trust is generally created by writing down all the terms and conditions in a written document, which is called the trust deed. Just like you have heard about a partnership deed, for trustees, they have a trust deed so that there's no dispute later on about the terms and conditions. Now, what does this trust deed contain? The trust deed contains details about the name of trustees, that is, who are the ones who are going to manage the trust. It also mentions the name of beneficiaries, that is, who are the people who are going to benefit out of the trust. The third information that is contained in a trust deed is the objective of the trust. What does the trust propose to achieve? Similarly, also information it would be there in the trust deed about the trust property which is given to the trustees. Details about that will be mentioned. The other information is about the powers of trustees. How far can the trustees exercise their powers? What is the scope within which they can work? All this information will be well laid down. Similarly, any other terms and conditions, if it's required to be put down, that also shall be included in a trust deed. Now, the trust deed, because it is written in black and white, it's put down on paper, there cannot be any arguments or disputes relating to that. If it's by word of mouth, people can keep changing their words, and then a lot of problems can occur. So, this trust deed can be used as a proof in a court of law while solving any disputes, if any. Now, the person who is transferring the property is called the settler or the author of the trust. I told you the person who is creating the trust is also called as the settler or the author of the trust. And the person for whom it is created or for whose benefit it is created is called the beneficiary of the trust. Types of trust. Trust can be classified into two types. One is private trust and the other one is public trust. Public trust is also called as charitable trust because it's meant for the general public. Therefore, it is also known as charitable trust. Let's understand private trust first. Private trust is created for the benefit of a specified individual or for definite individuals or for ascertainable individuals. So, if at all a trust is created for the family members who can be identified or specified, then we say that the trust which is created is a private trust. Now, private trusts are governed by the Indian Trust Act 1882. On the other hand, trust or charitable trust is created for the benefit of the public at large. Now, these trusts could be created to help the general public from poverty or perhaps to help in the advancement of education or religion of a particular community. So it's not meant for a specific person, but it's meant for the general public in society or belonging to a particular religion or sect. Therefore, all public trusts are called as charitable trusts. Now, these kind of trusts are registered with the Charity Commissioner under the Public Trust Act. What is the responsibility of the bank if a trustee opens an account with the bank? First and foremost, the bank should obtain and scrutinize the trust deed. So everything mentioned in the trust deed should be very, very carefully examined. The bank should also find out whether the account can be opened and operated by all the trustees, or is it that only few trustees can open and operate the account? Bank should check out what is the maximum withdrawal that the trustees can do from the bank and what are the objectives of the trust. Obviously, the objectives of the trust should be legitimate and lawful. And the bank should also check about the provisions relating to death and retirement of trustee. So bank has to take a lot of precaution, else the bank will be held liable and will be in a difficult position. So bank has to take a lot of precaution while opening an account for a trustee. The next customer or account holder that I'll be discussing with you is the executor and administrator. Executors and administrators are actually called as trustees, but they are the trustees of deceased people. I will spell out the word deceased. It is DECEASED, which means people who have died. They are the trustees of people who have died. But there's a small difference between these two terms, executors and administrators. Now, if a person who has died, he leaves a will behind and he names a person in the will to administer his estate after his death, such a person is called the executor. So, an executor gets the power and authority from the will, and then he must obtain a probate. I'll spell the word probate, PROBATE. A probate is a legal recognition of the validity of the will. Now, the person who is named in the will should go to a court and get the probate, and with that only he can exercise the provisions put down in the will. However, if a person dies intestate, spelling is INTESTATE, intestate means without leaving a will. Where a person dies intestate, that is without leaving a will, The court appoints a person to manage and wind up the estate of the dead person. Now, such a person is called the administrator. So I hope you have understood the difference between an executor and an administrator. Executor, in summary, executor is a person who is named in the will by the person who has died, and that person in the will is responsible for administrating the estate of the dead person. In the case of administrator, no person's name is mentioned in the will. In fact, there is no will at all, and therefore the court is responsible to appoint a person to administrate the property of the dead person, and such person who is appointed by the court is known as the administrator. Now, if the person who is named in the will, suppose that person dies before the creator of the will, then also an administrator can be appointed by the court. So if a person has prepared a will, he has named a person in the will, but the person in the will dies before the person who prepared the will, then the court can appoint an administrator in such cases also. So, in short, both executors and administrators are responsible for conducting the affairs and managing the property of people who have died. Now, the executor, he derives title under a will, and the property will be with the executor immediately upon the death of the deceased person, that is the testator. Testator is the person who has created the will. Administrator derives the title to the property only when he obtains the letter of administration from the court, and after that only he gets all the rights of the property. Now, what are the bank's precautions? The bank has got to take precautions, in the sense the bank has to get a proper introduction about the executor and the administrator, preferably from an advocate knowing the subject and who is known to the bank. The bank has to examine the will to understand all the provisions relating to disposal of property, powers of executors and administrators, and so on. The account opening form should also be signed by the executor and administrator. The bank should acquire details of the will, as well as letter of administration which is given by the court. So these are some of the precautions that the bank has got to take. The bank also has to ensure that if the account is now going to be managed by a executor or administrator, it should be the bank account should be labeled as executors to the estate of Mr. So and so who is deceased, or executors to the estate of Mr. So and so who has deceased. So the name of the executor and the administrator should be clearly mentioned on the deceased person's bank account. So with this, I come to an end of this chapter on customers and account holders. Hope you have all understood it. Please feel free to contact me at the email ID which I have WhatsApp you people. That is Geeta_Ashok at rediffmail.com. So good luck to all of you. Study hard.